My name is Negesa Jovia, a student of Mbale Secondary School, and this is Wildlife Club, Mbale Secondary School. We are here to introduce you to our botanical garden. This is our botanical garden that we actually came up with. This is actually to implement in the members and the students of the country about what the environment is all about. We are here to talk about the environment because we see that this botanical garden just earlier, in the earlier years, we had the botanical garden, we had all our trees here, but unfortunately all our biodiversity has been lost just because of cutting down of trees. So we are trying just to gazette this place so that we can come up with different species of trees. When we come up with a different species of trees, this can be medicinal trees, and these are going to help us in carrying out the different environmental practices, such as when these trees are held in our community, we are going to make sure that all the trees are going to help us in the rain formation. And this rain formation is going to help our crops, even the ones in the surrounding communities. This is going to help the rain formation and also reduction in the accumulation of the carbon dioxide gas in the atmosphere. Yes, this project here is also solving the problem of pollution. We have seen that in our environment and outside there, people are drinking what they drink. People are using plastics in the different ways. As you have seen the different bottles we are having. These bottles here are being dumped everywhere, leading to air pollution. We have land pollution, as also it's having the negative effects on the environment. We see that when these bottles are dumped there, they're going to lead to soil infertility. Maybe also when they're burnt, these are going to lead to accumulation of gases into the atmosphere. So when we come up and make these plastics here into useful things, this means we are trying to innovate. We are trying to make sure that our environment is not destroyed by the plastics. So we came up with this project such that our environment is secure from all kinds of plastics, so that when we come up with these plastics here, they're going to save us from some of the dangers which are going to result into the pollution of these plastics in our environment. As you can see, these plastics here or in our environment, they are very, very, very vital to us. We cannot live without them, but then we should know how can we live friendly with them. And so we cannot say we should burn away the plastics, but then how can we live in a friendly with them? So that's why we came up with this botanical garden. This is going to help us make something that is better. As our elders are living, what are they leaving behind? Are they leaving something, or they are living irresponsible citizens? Remember, we are the upcoming citizens. Are we becoming responsible citizens, or we are becoming irresponsible citizens? So we should come up and say that if our elders did this or did not do this, then what are we coming up with? How can we care for our environment? Because we know clearly that our environment is the one that supports our living. When we don't have this environment, then we cannot live. Just find an environment where everyone is sick, everyone is suffering from asthma, everyone is suffering from the different diseases. As you see that even these plastics can be dumped into the water bodies, into other places. These are leading to even different diseases like malaria, like Ebola, some sort of that. So if we come up with such things, if we come up with such mitigations, we are going to make sure that our environment is safe and conducive for everyone, for the future generations and everyone that is to come for us.
Kakati ekirowoozo kineno ekyokufuna obucupa tubukozese ekintu kineno ekyokubwetolooza ennimiro yaffe eno. Saakirowoozaako ng'omuntu wabula twatuula ngaffe bammemba ba Wildlife Club Mbale Secondary School ne tugamba tubadde tutya n'obucupa buneeno okubeera nga tuziyiza okubudampinga mu ssomero. So ne tutuula ne tubukuŋŋaanya ne tugamba kati obucupa bwo tubufunye, naye mu kubufuna tubukozesa ki? Ne tusalawo tubukozese. Tetusobola bwegobako kye kisooka kubanga tubukozesa, ne tugamba okay, kati katubuyeyambise okubeera nga tubukozesanga ekiziyizibwa abaana okubeera okujja mu botanical garden eno engeri gyeri nti eri under renovation, nti senga twagirekanga eri open bandibadde nga osanga ekigendererwa kyaffe tetwandikituuseeko. So yengeri ye yali main reason lwaki twasalawo okukozesa obucupa obutali rather than materials endala, kubanga buno kangambe bwe tusinga obeera nabo mu ssomero tunywa amazzi n'ebintu birala bingi, so twali tulina okukozesa bo bwennyini okubeera nga butweyambisa mu ngeri eno.
Project here was started out by all the members. We came up with this project just when we looked out from the environment and all our surrounding, as you can see in the school. We came up with this project and said, no, as the wildlife club, we know that we are conserving for the future generations. And therefore, what are we conserving for the future generations if we do not care for the environment and what impacts are having the negative on the environment? And therefore, we say that if we have these plastics being renewed, being put into good use, then we shall have our environment into good use. As you can see, our environment, as you can see, our botanical garden, it's not that finished as we are trying to level out our botanical garden as the soil is being leveled, so that we can make sure that this garden here is filled with a lot of species, and these species of which I first said they are going to be of medicinal process, or they are going to help the environment even in their daily health problems are going to be solved. And therefore, when we have all this, we are going to make sure that we live in a very conducive environment with everyone around us.
Nze Wamukwe Bruno, nze assistant patron Wildlife Club Mbale Secondary School. Fe nga club ya Wildlife Club ya Mbale Ss, we to trying nnyo like to lift people's talents and probably to always be supportive mu ngeri emu oba endala. Kati ekintu ekiri abaana baffe balaba obuzibu obuli mu ssomero lyaffe, of course ng'ogyeyo ebyobuveera waliyo n'obuzibu obulala obw'obucupa kati nga we mubulaba ssaawa zino. Kati abaana basooka ne bajja ne bakaminga up ne kye tuyita dustbins, but again bwava mu gundi mu bucupa. Kati olwavaawo still obuzibu bwali buli kweyongera oba okupollutinga environment yaffe nga Mbale Ss. Kati abantu abaali basomeddeko wano bajja kugamba nti ekifo kino kye tuli mu ssaawa zino kyali kyekifo ekiri like one of the most beautiful places at Mbale Secondary School. Naye kati kyali kibadde kigenze nga kifa. Kati bajja ne idea eyo ekyokurevivinga kino ekifo kye tuyita botanical gardens. Kati mu ngeri ey'okujja ne idea bagamba balina okusooka okukifensinga. Balina okulaba engeri gye balina okukifensingamu nga they also look at like trying to conserve the environment. Kati kokujja ne idea ey'okufensinga okukozesa obucupa buno. Kati okujja n'obucupa buno nga baagala ba reviving the green nature of Mbale Secondary School, abantu abasomerawo gye baali bamanyi. Nga we nkugambya mabegako awo, ekifo kino kye kyali kisinga biseera ebyo ng'ekisinga okubeera ekirungi ennyo, nga mulimu ebirime eby'enjawulo, ebyobuwangwa eby'enjawulo, mu ngeri nti n'abasomesa biology ne agriculture bali tebeetagisibwa kugenda wabweru w'essomero okufuna ebintu ebyo balyoke babikozese nga baali babifuna wano. Kati bibadde bigenze nga biggwawo. Kati Wildlife Club kwe kujja ne idea eno okurevivinga ekifo kino. Era kye bagezaako okulaba okukola kiri nti bagezaako okurevivinga ekifo nga like planting all the local plants, ebirime ebyobuwangwa babizeemu so that in case biba byetaagisibwa mu ssomero okukozesebwa mu ssomero basobola obifuna muno si kugenda wabweru. Iyo ye kati nga Mbale Secondary School nga we mbagambika mabegako awo tuba tugezaako bringing what we call innovativeness and creativity. Kati tulina ne curriculum gye tuyita new curriculum eri O level. Kati curriculum eyo ekintu kyesinga okutunuulira kwe okujjayo like that creativity within a student. Kati okuyiiya oba obuyiiya in one way or another. Kati ffe nga ba patrons we looked at supporting these particular learners. However, mu kuba supportinga be bajja ne idea eno ey'okujja ne plastic okufensinga ekifo kino ne plastic bottles. Ye idea yennyini gye bajja nayo era tuli just mu ntandikwa tugezaako okukimakinga ebeere so awesome. Kati ffe twagala ebeere tugiyite 5-star botanical garden ku Mbale Ss. Kati genda kubeera kifo nga kyamaanyi nnyo nga n'amasomero amalala gajja wano ku benchmarking agambe Mbale Ss yajja n'ekintu kino, they come and benchmark and say how did they make it, bakikola batya, so that we also share in order for us to improve tubenga tu improvinga otulongosa ebyobuwangwa o ekitundu kyaffe nga Mbale City neggwanga and then probably n'ensi yonna at large. Ekyo kye tunuulira. Kati ffe ngaffe tulina endowooza nti omwana involvinga him or herself mu projekiti ng'eno tasobola sigala kyekimu ng'omwana atuula mu kirasi yokka nasigala omwo okusoma ebitabo chemistry, biology n'ebirala. Omwana ajja ne idea eno still asobola okukozesa eno skill awantu awalala na surviving in one way or another. Katugambe tuli kwogera mu kusimba bino ebintu nga fence. Omuntu asobola okwetaaga nayo coming up ne fence. It might not be for plastic. Naye still esobola okubeera ya plastic. Omuntu ayinza okujja wano na appreciating idea nga naye ayagala bamukolereko idea weti ewaka ewuwe. Kati omwana wagwa mu eyo chance. Believe me, ajja kusurviving even without the papers. Ajja kwetagisa just your skill yagenda okukozesa eri, and then in one or another ajja kuba surviving, but at the end of it all naye aba protecting environment or nature at the end of it all. Amanya nze Wamukwe Bruno nga yenze assistant patron Wildlife Club Mbale Secondary School.
I am Haitha Sarah, a teacher at Mbale Ss. I teach geography and at the same time the patron Wildlife Club. Here where we are at Mbale Ss ground and we are at Botanical Gardens. In the history of Mbale Ss, those of us who have been to Mbale Ss, who had been to Mbale Ss earlier, realized that where we are was a green belt. It was a botanical garden which had numerous plants varying from the big trees up to the medicinal plants, even creeping plants which were all over. The OBs and OGs of this school will testify that this was a very beautiful area and a very important point of conservation. When subjects like biology, agriculture wanted some plants for teaching purposes, this is where they would get their teaching aids in form of plants. Now, where we have reached, the environment has been degraded so much, not only in Mbale Ss, but all over. And within school, in a school setting, we deal with young children who are actually the future generation. And where we are, we as elders who have ever benefited in a green environment have a feeling that at this space, if we just look on things going that way, we may not have a good survival in the future. First of all, we need to teach the learners to manage how to conserve their environment. And by so doing, first of all, we begin by the learners themselves. We teach them that these subjects that we are teaching them, especially in the new curriculum where we emphasize looking at the environment and then being innovative, how to survive in the new environment and in the competitive world altogether, we find that we first teach these learners. We classify them in groups, environmental groups, those ones conserving the environment, those of Wildlife Club, but all of them look at one point, that is conservation. So in the new curriculum, we know that there's a lot of creativity among the learners. So we looked at the bigger problem, that is the polythene bag. And sincerely, when I look at a polythene, I think if there's hate, the person I hate most is the person who created the polythene bag and plastic bottles. Though they are useful to us, we realize that dumping them or containing them was a big challenge. Mbale Ss as a school, it is a big one. With a population over 4,000, if everybody drank water in a plastic container, we realized that dumping or containing those plastics at the end of it was a problem. So we tasked the learners who came up with an idea of how to conserve. The first group came up with dustbins. These ones made dustbins which were big, they contained some rubbish somewhere. But we realized that the dustbins themselves were not enough. So they decided now to create an idea of reviving the botanical garden. But given the high population, trespassing was too much. So we decided to set up at least a sort of a boundary at least to demarcate an area where we are intending to show a sample of conservation. So the learners came up with an idea of a plastic fence. This one, They have tried to use the plastics to fence an area, but so far so good. The green grass at least has begun growing. But we find that that is not enough. These plastics still continue. We thank our administrators, especially the CEO, the head teacher, who managed to put up a guideline that within school, first of all, there should be no plastic bags brought. The people who sell their produce are supposed to look for the degradable material, like paper, to use at canteens, to pack whatever they wish. So from the entry at the gate, if you happen to come with any polythene bag, you're stopped and it's supposed to remain there. They gather it for disposal, for proper disposal. Now, here where we are, the learners who are in the new curriculum, who are supposed to be practical wherever, we feel that if we just keep it to ourselves, we shall not benefit more. So we are trying to teach learners with their hands on. We expose them to the place that, for example, the botanical gardens and any any bare space within school so that they can use. If you observe Mbale Ss, we are trying to use plastics to fence. They are the same things which are going to be used in our plan. We have them to act as for drip irrigation. Some of the containers are used for fencing, some will be used for drip irrigation in the dry spell. The creativity we are talking about, members, it lies within the brains of the learners. When they will have a feeling that while they learn in the new curriculum where they are being encouraged to be innovative, we are going to have a better generation which will go out there. If they can apply this knowledge which they are learning from school, we feel the environment out there will be conserved. And the challenges that we have with air pollution possibly will be minimized. And if other schools joined us and then they came to benchmark with Mbale Ss, then we try this everywhere. We have a feeling that the younger generation will be a generation which will help in conserving the environment, and we shall enjoy the green environment with the fresh air. Members, even I'm a teacher within Mbale Ss, but these classes vary. When you teach in a classroom which is near a tree, the feeling in that class is better than when you teach in one which is surrounded with bare space. They give us fresh air. So far, so good. We find that within school, the head teacher has been so supportive. He has even put seats for the learners, so they relax under the green belts. We are trying to conserve the environment for generations, and we have a feeling that passing through these learners will give a better or bigger impact to the environment generally.